everybody. Welcome to this month's edition of Civil Engineering Today. I'm your host, Reed Brockman, and I'm really excited about this show because this one's, you're gonna love this one. We have from the MBTA, we have Assabet Ozhathil, and we have Holly Palmgren, both on the show today, and they both work on two totally different parts of a very, very cool project that we're gonna talk about. So if you were ever on the Ozhathil River, which is a beautiful river, a little bit northwest of Boston, great for canoeing and everything. The railroad line goes over there and they replaced two beautiful old historic bridges on the line. So Holly, Assabet, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
So tell us a little bit about that area up there first and how this all got started. Like where did the bridges come from in the first place?
So MBTA has been monitoring all of the bridges that they own and just found out that we have some deterioration reported on these bridges from our operating group. So we sent out our crew and we found that the cracks have been deteriorating so fast. So it's time to do something. Plus there had been some scour damages to the bridges. When you say scour, it is like, this is the arch on the underside, on either side of the support structure for the arch. There had been a lot of gaps, and so what we did was, those gaps are caused by the scour. So what we did was we pushed in or tremmy grout. Concrete was pushed into that, and then we put in concrete bags to stabilize the area. So the arch was basically stabilized. The structural integrity of the arch was maintained that way. So what you see on the screen is the two historic arches, and they're both located in the town of Andover, built in 1847.
So
basically it has surpassed its life and beyond. So
but that's how everything I think should be.
That's
I don't understand this whole thing about bridge life. I think that if you got something beautiful and old and you can keep it living, keep it living.
Correct, right? Yeah. And so now talking about this, these are 2 miles apart, 2 arch bridges, and we told you it's historic. So there is pressure from the Historic Commission, Andover Preservation Commission to preserve these arches. So we went and met with them and they said they want us to preserve these arches. Now the arches don't have any more capability or capacity to take loads. So MBTA
going on top of this, I guess it was one railroad track once upon a time?
Once upon a time there were 2 railroad tracks.
Right, 2 at first.
But
one got taken out.
Yeah, one got taken out because of the deterioration. And so we talked to the consultant, Louis Berger Group was the consultant selected for this job. And we decided to build a bridge within a bridge. That's how I call it. It's my pet project. It's a bridge within a bridge. So basically what we did was preserved those granite arches in place and built independent bridge inside of that, scooped the material.
Scooped all the material out, so it's an empty shell of...
Right, from within the bridge, and then built drill shaft, which is like huge column-like structures, we drill through that and then pour the drill shafts and supported on that an independent steel structure which spans and the arch stays in place.
So let me make sure I can explain this right. So we got an arch. You dig out all the earth in an arch. When you make an arch in the first place, as soon as you put in the keystone, everything locks into place.
Correct.
As long as nothing push up and you don't let it change its shape, it stays. So.
But the difficulty with this was we were doing it one phase at a time. So how the arch has to stay in place. It has to have uniform load applied from the top, right?
Right.
So the fear was like you have trains running on one side and you're scooping the material from the other side of it. And so, but we were monitoring the arches while this was being done, and we were able to successfully do those. But the arch at mile point 1993, which is the lower one adjacent to the station, that had like an 18-inch to 2 feet of fill only above it. So we had to go and put an arch support underneath this arch.
Oh, so you could see it from the water while you were building it. There was like some kind of a support system.
Inside the arch.
It was
Yep.
so pretty, that arch support was so pretty. I was telling the contractor, can we retain that? It was so beautiful when it
Yeah.
was built. Look at that. It's so beautiful. So I was telling them, can we retain those arch supports?
What happens to them after?
Well, we had to remove
goes
it.
good,
Yeah.
Yep.
So
We didn't really explain, Holly, you got a totally different profession. You
Yes.
guys are both working on the construction of it, and you take on the structural side, and you take on...
The environmental side. So, as Elizabeth said, the community had a vested interest in having us save these beautiful, I mean, they are beautiful stone arch bridges. So, as Elizabeth said, we were able to save them by building this new bridge and a bridge. And so, when you look at them, they look very similar to what they did before. They're just not carrying the load of the railroad anymore. We did have to put a cap on them, and we worked with the community on getting the stones for that, so it looks nice, the colors match. So this river is heavily canoed and kayaked, so that experience from those people will be the same. They'll see these beautiful bridges as they come through. The other issue that came up was not just historic, but environmental impacts to the waterway. This is a stream, and we did need to fill in parts of the stream in order to provide the stabilization for that arch. So we did some unique mitigation here that we haven't done on other projects. One of them is a shoreline stabilization project. We used root wads, which was also a new technique. So
What is that?
basically, there are these big,
huge tree trunks.
tree trunks with
See,
the
you
roots
see in
still
that picture,
attached.
see that?
Oh,
Yeah.
those.
And basically, they're driven into the shoreline to stabilize it. So this was also neat.
Are they trees that were local here already, or did you have to go and get them from somewhere?
No, they were
They were local, but we had to go and get
we
it
had to
from...
go and
yeah.
inspect them, make sure
That's
they
such a
met the
beautiful
size.
idea. It's like instead
Exactly.
of some high-tech material,
Right.
you just go and you find a down tree down the river, and you grab
That-
it, and you use that as a giant nail.
Dead trees.
Basically,
Yeah.
they're dead,
Dead,
yeah.
right,
And
they're dead, but
and the nice thing is
the wood's there.
Yeah.
those root systems then provide habitat in the stream, right? Because you have
Right.
those exposed
So you
along.
drive it all the way until it's flush, and it
Right, and it provides that. So the unique thing about where we did that is that was actually not on MBTA property or state property, it was on private property. So we met with the private property owner, and they had seen that they're losing their backyard, right, as this erosion is happening. So for them, they wanted to let us come and do that because it's preserving their property as well. So we drove these along the embankment. There's plantings on top of them. It's been there for a few years now. We've gone out and checked it, the regulators, and it's been a huge success. It looks really nice, it's functioning, and it's stabilized.
Looks very natural.
It does look very natural now that everything's grown
So
back up.
But you're entering into like new territory, kind of.
It is new territory for us, certainly.
You're working not this is off of this isn't the public property anymore. Now you're
Correct.
working with the neighbors down the stream and trying to help them out with so this wasn't a new problem to them. They already had this problem,
Yes,
right?
they had this existing
But
problem.
they were happy that we were going to restore their backyard. You know, otherwise they were losing their backyard to erosion.
Right, and it provided habitat value to the stream itself, and
yeah.
helped with the stream itself.
Yeah.
You know, these arches are somewhat of a constricting point along the river, and that was causing some of that erosion. So this helped it. We also removed material from the stream itself that had accumulated,
Yep.
and then on the other side of where the root wad installation was, the railroad embankment had washed into the river. So we removed that and did a stabilization of that, which was the second piece of our
So
mitigation.
was that with? Oh, I see. So it wasn't root wads at all.
It was not root wads. This was a
Well, no.
completely different kind of stabilization, but also provided habitat. You know, it does have stones. The environmental regulators don't really like stones,
Just
right? They don't
riprap
provide
alone, yeah.
a lot of habitat, but for stabilization of that shore, we needed the stones. So what we did is we did the stones. The top area was planted, and within the stones, we did live willow stakes. So you get growth. It's beautiful. There's birds there now. I mean, it's
So at this
actually
point, it's totally overgrown that you don't see the stones.
correct, but also doesn't undermine the ability to provide the embankment for the railroad. It provides that stability for the railroad, but also has the habitat and it's green. I mean, it looks nice. So those
Everything
were
looks so natural, as if nothing has happened to that area.
right.
But while we were doing all of this, I just want to say that we maintained service. how we did was that we let service go during the rush hours, the morning 6 to 9 a.m.
Yep.
We let trains go by, so the passengers were not impacted. And same thing in evening, 4 to 8 p.m. So the in-between hours, like both during the day and night, the contractor was able to do his work. So
Right,
yeah,
right.
and
no matter
then
what,
we
they
were
can't do
busing the
work.
people during the daytime.
Oh, busing, okay.
Busing. So now this line carries MBTA Haverhill line, Amtrak service, and Pan Am freight service.
That's a lot of trains
It's a lot
coming
of
down.
trains
Lot
every
of
day.
That's trains
Trains to
that, I mean, you guys at the MBTA, you guys have control of MBTA, but
We have only control of
Freight,
MBTA,
right.
but we have no control on freight though.
ever.
Yeah, we have no control on freight, but we allowed, actually we were coordinating with them, we worked with them, so the freight wasn't impacted. Amtrak service, weekends when we were demolishing we're placing the bridge. So that again happened in one weekend at a time. At one weekend, we'll place both the bridges on one face.
Yeah.
Then we started working on the other side, and come another weekend or pick another time, we placed those bridges. So that is how we worked basically. It was a very dangerous thing, but
Well, especially you had, so
Monitoring it.
you only had one track coming down in the first place.
yes.
And was that track right down the middle in the first place? Or
No,
kinda
it
off
was
to
in
the
its
side?
original location.
Okay, so off
yeah.
to the side, kind of.
On the side, yeah.
All right,
So,
so-
we first did the track where there is no track, the empty space area, we built the brand new tracks. So then devoted service onto those tracks.
Yep.
And then while
take
that
out all
was
the
running, we went and did the other side.
So both bridges now have 2 tracks on them.
And we built those bridges in another location, and then brought them on flatbed truck. Another challenge that we met with was during design. Actually, we did several probes, because we didn't know these are beautiful granite arches from the fascia. So
Yeah.
we thought it's all like dry laid behind
Right,
that.
big solid
Right.
rocks.
So
right.
we had geotech exploration. We did probes. Yeah, probes were hitting solid. So we thought it's like all packed. But we come to find out that these are all loose granite. So we had to go and stabilize the back side of it. So this fascia arch the integrity of that is maintained. So there were so many challenges that we met with, along with Holly's challenge on picking the stones
Yep.
to match with.
Yep.
Yeah, they had to go the extra mile to pick the granite stones, and the colors had to match with the existing. So when you look at it, now if you look at it, it's very hard to figure out which are the new ones
and
and
which
which
are
are
the
the old ones. And there were several stones that had cracks. So,
So
some
you
of
had
them,
you had to trade
Had to
those
rip-
out.
some of them were
From
taken.
the arch itself, like taking apart the stones from the
No,
actual arch,
from
or
the
all on
inside face of the arch, you could see all these cracks going in. Like some of this you could remove. The huge ones, what we did was we pinned them.
Oh, okay.
And repaired them.
Yeah, and repaired them. It was a fantastic job on that.
It was like surgery.
Right. That's what this is. This is like an
That's
old,
correct,
an old,
yeah.
An old,
It's almost like that, yes. We doweled in, we pinned them together. So, I don't know, this one particular project involved how many aspects of engineering. That's the beauty of.
but the technology is just the opposite of what when everybody likes to say high tech and new
Right.
technology.
No.
But this was some beautiful old technology
Yes.
coming back in. And there's one other thing that's just really beautiful about it is that you went backwards. Everybody always thinks the public just puts out something and ignores the public. You guys went way out of your way, above and beyond, to make sure you were doing something that people would love.
Right.
Yes, and to preserve, these are beautiful pieces of the community, of their history. They're within a historic district in the community. The community has a vested interest to save it. The MBTA, as the custodians of those old bridges, has an interest to save them as well.
Absolutely.
They're from 1847 with not a whole lot of stuff changed to them. Some grout may be added to one of them. The other one was still dry laid.
Yeah, second one was dry laid. The first one, there were maintenance done in between, people probably didn't know that these were dry laid, so just to stabilize the inside faces, if you look at it, you
Oh,
will
yeah, you
see
can see all
grout
the-
in there. But that was actually detrimental to the arch per se.
What happens? What's the problem with putting it in the
But
grout?
you cannot, actually this is dry laid. That means the water can
Water's-
seep through. And, one winter I went underneath the dry laid arch. It's like icicles. Oh,
Yeah.
beautiful sight, beautiful. You wouldn't see that anywhere
Right,
else.
but it
But
drained.
this, when you grout it, you're sort of preventing that.
Yeah, now
So
you
the
got
water
more
stays in
weight
there,
And
gets
you get the
stacked in
freeze and
there.
thaw inside.
Right.
Pushing everything out and
Pushing
shoving
the
those
granite
walls
stones.
out.
Yeah.
And those are just dry laid, or even if they're mortared, like you've got a granite wall, anything pushing out
Right.
can flop those walls
Yeah.
Right.
right
And
over.
possibly that's what created, you could see the crown was, it was flattening. That's how
Yeah.
it was happening. So who knows, all these components of it acting together, who knows what exactly was going on through. So those were all the things that we had to deal with on this particular,
Right.
project.
Right, and at the end of the day, we needed to have a project that could carry the MBTA
Yeah.
and all the other freight that goes on that. I mean, we needed to build something that could carry the 2 tracks and continue service for our customers as well as the freight customers. So
Right.
it was innovative, in my opinion. This is the first time we've seen this, where we were able to preserve this historic bridge while also getting the service we needed of a new bridge to be able to
Yeah.
carry those loads.
We went back and put 2 tracks back. So at some point, MBTA is now working on getting both 2 tracks all the way to Portland, So if that situation comes, they can use, both
Wait,
tracks
they're
in
working
place.
on, Amtrak's working on getting the trains going all the way to Portland, connecting?
Amtrak, no, MBTA was getting
MBTA.
2 tracks
All the way
through
our
yeah,
system.
MBTA was working
Up
on
Haver.
that.
Yep.
Yeah.
There's
Up to
a Haver.
Haverhill at least for the
Yep.
time being.
Oh, that's
But
great.
Portland part, that I don't know. I'm sure that will continue at some point.
Right.
But up to Haverhill, yes, MBTA was
Right,
working
definitely
on
to Haverhill.
getting it that.
To
yeah.
Portland, that would be great.
Yeah. Because, once this happens, it's natural tendency to,
To extend it.
yeah. So we were actually busing Amtrak when the weekends that we were placing the bridges. We had a contract with Amtrak or agreement with Amtrak to bus the people on Amtrak as well.
So you're taking them, how far did they have to ride on the bus? Where did they?
We were taking them from Boston to, from Reading to Haverhill.
Okay.
Reading to Haverhill or Reading to Ballardvale. Ballardvale was a station closest to one of the bridges. So we had a parking lot. We rented that parking lot so they could turn around in that area and then bus people from either Ballardvale to Reading or Reading to Haverhill. That was how we bused the people during this, and we were
Yeah.
able to complete the work within budget and on schedule.
And the people in town, how did the Andover folks take the whole project?
Oh, they were very happy, especially the people whose backyard we were able to
Yes,
stabilize.
but also the community as a whole. We actually, for the 2 bridges, got a preservation award from the Andover Preservation Commission for
That's
preserving.
great that they give you some recognition.
Yeah, they
Right.
do annual awards.
Yeah, we got basically 3 awards.
Right, only one from Andover.
One, one
One of them
from,
I know about.
yeah.
But so it was nice to be recognized that, we worked closely with them at the beginning of the project and heard their interest in saving these. And so for them to recognize us for actually, going
That's
that extra
correct,
mile
yeah.
and saving it was nice. And so they did, and they did really like that. And working with the Conservation Commission, who deals with the people who are canoeing and kayaking on there as well, they like it as well because they get to see it, up close and personal. One of the bridges you can see from the road and station, but the other one is not really visible from a public way. So you're seeing it if you're on the river itself. So we
Yeah.
did get feedback that they liked that.
Oh, that's great. I'm glad you guys got the recognition you deserve because it's a wonderful project that you guys took on.
We didn't have too much, I mean, the residents didn't complain about noise or, we didn't get complaints from the people in the area. So they were willing to work with us to get this project
Right,
going.
they knew that this was,
Yeah.
I mean, this was important to them
Right.
as well. I mean,
Yeah.
they wanted this as
Exactly.
much as you wanted it.
Right.
And we, I think we use some of the elements of this project as a model for future projects, doing off-site mitigation, doing off-site mitigation on private property, and having it be successful is new for us. This bridge within a bridge to preserve the historic. So some of those elements are being used on future MBTA projects as well.
I think that's something really cutting edge. I wouldn't be surprised, I mean, this thing goes up onto YouTube and, I wouldn't be surprised if other places in the country, they're not doing those
Right.
kind of things and they want to learn from you guys.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
probably going to get some phone calls.
Well,
Right.
that's okay.
Yeah.
That's all right. I've presented the regulators. We're kind of a little leery about this project because, again, it's a new idea to do that off-site private property mitigation. And since it worked so well, I've talked to a bunch of them. They have quarterly meetings and presented this to them as something that worked. It was a good model for them to use on other projects as well.
Yeah, the environmental agencies that we were dealing with through Holly, we go through Holly on all environmental aspects. They were very happy with us and they told us that they want to express their gratitude to us that we were able to do all those mitigation measures, and so which means they'll be helping us in future.
don't
They're
get that
very
every day.
happy.
No, we don't get a thank you
that.
very
I
often.
love those thank yous. Those are very, very important.
Very-
Everybody
yes,
should know
they
that.
are.
Those thank yous
Yeah.
are important.
Exactly.
Yep.
So I know we're coming to the end of our time. I know it flies by really
It does.
fast. But this was, it's great timing that you guys did a project like this. As you know, last year we, at the Boston Society of Civil Engineers, put together a celebration for a 250-year-old bridge. It's actually the oldest two-span arch in the country. It's not railroad. This one's takes a road over the river, but in Ipswich, Mass, and the Choate Bridge.
Yep.
And that one is doing beautifully. We had a celebration, and I just want the public to know that we are doing another celebration this year, but this time you got to travel to Western Mass. So everybody out in Holyoke, we're celebrating the Holyoke dams, and canals.
Yep.
And we're going to have a day of all kinds of presentations, and we're going to have hands-on activities out there. And I also want to announce before we're off, you guys won the Herzog Award because the crew at Louis Berger put together a beautiful presentation and told everybody about it, which we really appreciate it. And anybody who is a civil engineer or wrote anything about the infrastructure here in, I think Massachusetts is the limit, but maybe it's all in New England, then go online to bsces.org. It's getting almost too late to submit, but it's technically not due for a couple days. So if you want to write a paper about the infrastructure, write it now, write it quick, and get it in. bsces.org. And I think that's all the time we have, but thank you very much, you guys.
Thank you.
And see everybody next time on Civil Engineering Today.